Have you ever engaged in a serious debate over which is better, Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings? Have you ever played Smash or Pass using only characters from Star Wars and Marvel movies? If you answered yes to any of these questions, we have the podcast for you. Listen to The Steam Gentlemen, the podcast where an expert panel convenes to ask the questions about pop culture and social commentary that other podcasts are afraid to ask. Listen to The Steam Gentlemen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Warning, this product contains extreme nostalgia. Has your job got you down? Is adulting not as fun as you thought it would be? Do you want a way to recapture that happiness from when you were a kid? At Retrostalgia Box, you feel like a kid again. Comics, toys, and video games hand-curated from the past and straight to your door. Unbox happiness at retrostalgiabox.com. Once again, that's retrostalgiabox.com. Yeah! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 1987 Supermod. I'm your host, as always, Brad Drake, and this is the reboot of the AWA. Today, we are recording weeks 3 and 4 of All-Star Wrestling, live and in living color, coming at you from the SHOWBOAT Sports Pavilion in Las Vegas, Nevada. So here we go. Obviously, our venue is set, and this is a continued bridge off of our last episode. So let's go ahead and give our cards a rundown and give you an idea of what kind of action we're going to see. We are going to see ladies wrestler Debbie Combs in action in a tag team match. We're going to see the Terrorist and Yuri Gordienko. Ray Stevens is going to be in singles action. Colonel DeBeers will also be in singles action. And then our main event, everybody, we are going to see Wahoo McDaniel and Baron von Raschke against Larry Zbyszko and the heavyweight champion of the world, Nick Bockwinkel. All right, for week 4, we are going to see Buddy Wolfe in action. We are going to see the Midnight Rockers put the World Tag Team title on the line. In a, obviously, these are all enhancement matches, no doubt about it. We're going to see Steve Olsonoski in singles action. We are going to see Sergeant Slaughter and Jimmy Snuka join forces as a tag team. And then our main event, everybody, we're going to see Mike Miller against the #1 contender to the heavyweight crown, Curt Hennig. So with that said, everybody, let's get to booking. And here we go, Evangelina, I believe that's the proper way to pronounce her name, is going to face Debbie Combs in our opener. All right, and we picked up Evangelina. I don't want to say we picked her up off the streets, but she is enhancement talent, and we were able to find her locally. Picked her up off the street in Las Vegas, nonetheless. All right, here's Debbie Combs. And Debbie Combs gets the victory. All right, up next, we have our tag match as Stevie Butler and Russell Smith will face the Terrorist and Gordienko. So here we go, Butler and Smith versus Gordienko and the Terrorist. We're having a hard time bringing in the mercenary here, who is Ron Fuller, who also runs his own promotion. So here we go, Stevie Butler, Russell Smith, and here is Yuri Gordienko, and the Terrorist, who is Jack Victory. All right, we are going to have the Terrorist get the win for his team here. And yes, everybody, AWA television was pretty boring. Eric Bischoff talks about it, how boring it was. Jim Cornette talks about how boring it was. It was 1950s television. And what they mean by 1950s television was that these were almost all squash matches except for one serious match. Ray Stevens is going to cut a promo here. And the whole purpose was to build up wrestlers to make them look good in enhancement matches so that you would buy a ticket when the AWA came to your local town. It was a well-proven formula. Most promotions used it, and that formula started in the 50s and carried all the way through, really, until Monday Night Raw launched in the early 90s. All right, we're going to have Buddha Khan here against Ray Stevens. And Buddha Khan, of course, was also a big-time R&B star. That's right, he had a band that he toured with. So here is Ray Stevens. He was a huge man. Buddha Khan, very big man. Ray Stevens is over the hill here, but he's still serviceable in the AWA and is still making appearances in the AWA. All right, Colonel DeBeers is going to cut a promo here. And again, I think he was in a feud with Jimmy Snuka, but I haven't been able to check. Here is Colonel DeBeers. And he is talking to Larry Nelson. Colonel DeBeers was pretty good on the mic, so we'll see how he does here. He's based on entertainment. This one is booked. And we are going to have Robertson versus DeBeers. Greg Robertson, 3-minute bout. Of course, it's going to be another enhancement match. And Colonel DeBeers was a good gimmick, especially at this time when everybody was going crazy about apartheid. For those of you that are young enough that you don't know what apartheid was, you should look it up. It was a regime in South Africa, a Caucasian regime that was a small minority of the country that was controlling the rest of the country. And they had blatant, full all-out racist policies in place. Apartheid ended up falling in the 80s. Maybe the early 90s, replaced by Nelson Mandela, who was freed from prison and won the first free election in South Africa. All right, so Colonel DeBeers is feeding off of that negativity of the apartheid regime by donning, Ed Wisnowski was his real name, by donning a South African colonel gimmick. It was money. And he nailed it, too. All right, next, we're going to have Larry Zbyszko and Nick Bockwinkel cut a promo. And this one should be outstanding because both these men can talk. All right, here is the World Heavyweight Champion. Here is Larry Zbyszko. They're both going to be rated on entertainment. And they are going to talk to Larry Nelson. And the name of Curt Hennig is going to come up here to help that feud with Bockwinkel and Hennig continue. All right, so there we go. And next, we have a 20-minute main event here. And we are going to have McDaniel. Oh, we can go into tag team view. And, of course, I don't have them listed as a tag team yet. Here's Wahoo McDaniel. Here is Baron von Raschke. And they are going to face Nick Bockwinkel and Larry Zbyszko. All right, so we have McDaniel and von Raschke versus Bockwinkel and Zbyszko. All right, we are going to have the heavyweight champion of the world get the win. That's going to come via cheating, of course, everybody. Of course. You wouldn't have it any other way. And this one, of course, is going to be an epic. All four of these men have the capabilities to do it. This should be a decent bout. All right, so here we go. Let's go ahead and see how we do, everybody. All right, Evangelina has no problem taking the loss here to Debbie Combs because, hey, we did get her off the streets. And Debbie Combs with the victory. Next, we have Gordienko and the Terrorist. This is a horrible match. A little bit of green here from the commentary. Red text of doom all over the place. 36 to 39. And Gordienko and the Terrorist get the win here. 19 overall. Here, nice promo by Ray Stevens, 73. I like it. Of course, we are in the Southwest region where Ray Stevens was huge in the Los Angeles territory. So it does make sense that his popularity is high. All right, Budokan against Ray Stevens. Ray Stevens is going to win with the bombs away, and I'm sure that he is showing his age. There is the declining physical ability. Understandable. All right, up next, Colonel DeBeers cuts a promo. It's not that great. It's only a 40, but we get lots of green here, and you can see that Colonel DeBeers can cut a decent promo. Good stuff. All right, Robertson versus DeBeers. DeBeers gets a 57. That's a good score for a simple enhancement match like this, and DeBeers wins with that pancake pile driver, which we would nowadays call the pedigree. Good stuff. I'm a big fan of Colonel DeBeers. If you remember correctly in our last save, he took off on us and left, and I hope he doesn't do that again. All right, next we have Bockwinkel and Zbyszko cutting a promo. They get a 78, which is still a very respectable score, but I'm surprised it was that low. I figured these two would have pushed into the 80s, but it did help the storyline continue. Let's see how our main event does. The main event gets an outstanding 76 score. Good stuff. And 3 out of the 4 are probably showing their age here. And boy, I nailed that one, didn't I? All right, we're going to go ahead and finish this one up. 72, we get a gain in 3 regions. Good stuff. That's our syndicated regions, of course. And we're ready now to record our next episode. And this will be for week 4. This will actually be the 4th week of May. All right, we are going to open up with Ringo versus Buddy Wolfe. And Ringo has been with the AWA a while, doing enhancement matches since the 70s. And we also have Buddy Wolfe here, who has come back to the AWA. That was been on and off with the AWA since the 1960s. Buddy Wolfe held some AWA regional titles back when they had them. See, you got the AWA Midwest Heavyweight there. He also held the NWA Florida Heavyweight and the Texas Heavyweight. Not to mention, he fought, I think he fought Muhammad Ali. Yeah, there it is. Right there. Yep. So Buddy Wolfe was at the end of his career here, but he's still a serviceable hand. So Wolfe gets the win here in an enhancement match. And up next, we're going to have Nacho Berrera and Joe Pantera versus the Midnight Rockers. I know we're putting the World Tag Team Champions low on the card. But if you watch these old shows, they kind of put them anywhere. It didn't really matter. So this is definitely not like a knock or a disrespect to the Midnight Rockers. All right, here's Nacho Berrera. Here is Joe Pantera, another one that came up from Chicago with Nacho Berrera. Julio Rodriguez is another one, and so is Frank Reese. Those 4 traveled together. All right, here are the Midnight Rockers, the World Tag Team Champions. And the AWA would put the title on the line. The WWF would not, but Crockett, the AWA, they would. All right, so we are going to have Shawn Michaels get the win for the Midnight Rockers here. And this one is definitely not a contest and an easy win for the Midnight Rockers. The Midnight Rockers are going to do a post-match promo here with Larry Nelson. And, of course, they're cutting the promo on Rose and Summers. Here is Marty Genadi. Here is Shawn Michaels. They're talking to Larry Nelson. And they are talking about Buddy Rose and Doug Summers. We talked about it earlier, 1950s booking. Yes, for television it definitely is, but it is also very effective. This is how you get your storylines going. You strum up interest. Every once in a while, wrestlers would attack other wrestlers on TV. It made for really good stuff. And right around this time period, some of you may remember, we got to see that bloodbath against the Midnight Rockers and Rose and Summers that was on Championship Wrestling on ESPN. It was good stuff. And then, of course, they would have that famous cage match, which many consider one of the best matches of the 80s, and I would not disagree. All right, up next, we have Krusher Krugnoff, and he's going to face Steve Olsonoski. Steve Olsonoski asked this question to George Shire not too long ago. Steve Olsonoski seemed like he was going to be a big-time wrestler for many years to come. In the AWA, he was Rookie of the Year. He went down to Georgia and had some success down in Georgia, winning, I think, the national heavyweight title. Yep, and the national tag team title. He definitely had success, but came back to the AWA and we saw him at Super Clash refereeing matches and stuff like that. So I had to ask George Shire, who was an excellent historian about the AWA, and my question was, Mr. Shire, how did Steve-O fall out of favor? What happened? It turns out Steve Olsonoski had some very successful business ventures on his own and didn't really need wrestling and was kind of just doing wrestling for fun and a little bit of a payday. So I think that one answers that question. All right, Sergeant Slaughter and Jimmy Snuka are going to cut a promo here together. And they're both based on entertainment. And they're both going to talk to Larry Nelson. That's another fun thing about the AWA in the 70s and 80s is you would have all these random tag teams, right? Everybody just wasn't necessarily a tag team. But good stuff, fun stuff. It was another way to get multiple people on television. And we have Mad Mountain Mike and Tolas versus Slaughter and Snuka. Another 3-minute bout here. So here is big Mad Mountain Mike, and this guy was huge. And his partner is the Greek gangster, Mike Tolas here. That's the guy you get a loan from in the back of the restaurant. No doubt about it. And he hands it to you in a brown paper lunch bag, too. You better pay him back, though, because the VIG gets running. All right, here's Sergeant Slaughter. Here is Jimmy Snuka. And we are going to have Jimmy Snuka get the win for his team here. And this one does it. All right, up next here we have Curt Hennig cutting a promo. And of course, he's going to be talking about Nick Bockwinkel. Super Clash is coming up here, I think next week or 2 weeks from now in the game. Got to double check. So we are building up to that. So here is Larry Nelson. And Curt Hennig is talking about Nick Bockwinkel. Entertainment. Off screen. Booked. All right, here comes our big main event, which is going to be Mike Miller, another Pacific Northwest guy. I don't care much for Mike Miller. I thought he was average at best, but he's serviceable for us here in the AWA, just for reasons like this. All right, here is Mike Miller. Here is Curt Hennig. Mike Miller was a good brawler. I'll give him that much. All right, Curt Hennig with the W, everybody. We should be able to do an epic. Both these two should have the psychology for it. And we're ready to rock here. All right, here we go. Ringo loses to Buddy Wolfe here. Buddy Wolfe gets the win by pinfall. That means we don't have a finisher loaded for him, and that's okay. All right, Shawn Michaels gets the win for his team after they use the Rocker Shocker. And the Midnight Rockers defend their World Tag Team title once again. Lots of green here. Green equals money. Well, the Midnight Rockers are money. They're an excellent tag team. All right, the Rockers get a 55 in their promo here against Rose and Summers. And again, lots of green here, and this young team continues to get better. All right, Steve-O gets the win over Krusher Krugnoff. Uses that black backflip. 18 overall. Lots of red text of doom here. And don't forget that a couple years from now in the AWA, they would be forced to use Krusher Krugnoff as a top draw. All right. Sergeant Slaughter invented a new catchphrase. What do you think of that? And we have Slaughter and Snuka giving a promo. We get a whopping 65 on this one. Jimmy Snuka definitely did not give the greatest of promos, but he wasn't this bad. Anyway, moving right along, we get a 51 for the match, 78 and a 65. And Mad Mountain Mike and Mike Tolas don't get along here, and they don't do a good job. We do get lots of green, though. And Maybe Tolas and Mike don't get along because maybe Mad Mountain Mike's behind on his payments. Who knows? But if I was Mike Tolas, I would try to hire Mad Mountain Mike for some muscle for my operation. Maybe sit on the other side of the restaurant and watch the table. Who knows? Maybe a collector, too. He could be a collector for him. Even though Tolas looks like he's doing his own collecting here. Anyway, we're going to move on here. Curt Hennig, oof, only gets a 57 in his promo. And again, this must be because of the Southwest region. It's the only thing I can think of. This makes me scared for what our main event is going to do. The main event only gets a 51, everybody. Oof. And we're going to take a hit here. Yep, we lose popularity in one region. All right, we're going to finish this one up, and that's a mercy killing at the end there. But again, this is what happens when you do these recordings out of another territory than what you're used to running in. All right, so we can go ahead and finish this one up. And of course, we'll be ready in a month's time in the game world to start recording Championship Wrestling again. And there we go. I think we got some tour dates coming up here. I have nothing loaded in the spreadsheet yet. So let's just give it a chance here until TEW takes us home. And look at that. It takes us right home. All right. Let's take a look here. Ooh, there's a new champion in the CWA. Steve Kern has won the International Heavyweight title. And look at that. Billy Travis and Jeff Jarrett have won the International Tag title. Bad Company lost the Southern Tag Team title. Oh, Bad Company won. Fair enough. All right, let's take a look here. Al Ringo's tired. Greg Gagne's tired. This guy's wrestled one match. All right, let's take a look here. Zhukov wants more money. We'll have to give it to him. Randy Rose wants more money. We'll have to give it to him. Chavo Guerrero wants more money. We'll have to give it to him. All right, let's take a quick look around the game world, see if anything catches our eye. Iceman King Parsons has won the Wild West title. Buddy Roberts and Fabulous Lance have won the Wild West Tag title. Bill Ash has won World Organization Wrestling's title. World Organization of Wrestling, I should say. And let me see if anything else catches our eye. WWF did TV tapings. They also had a live event. And the Anaheim Convention Center. Steamboat over Orton in the main. Now, everybody, I scaled back all the skill settings and everything. So, they're still getting big numbers. If you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. All right, that is going to do it for us, everybody, for this episode. For those of you that are new to the channel, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button and leave us a message below. We'd like to hear from you. Let us know how you found the channel and what you think of it so far. Check us out on social media, facebook.com/group/1987supermod. You can also find us over on Reddit under the subreddit of TEW 2020 Friends. Check us out on Discord. We are under Discord as 1987 Supermod. And don't forget, you can get version 10 of the Supermod by going to patreon.com/PowerCast Network. Not only can you get the Supermod, but you can also get all of our spreadsheets, all of our shows early and YouTube ad-free, and also a lot of stuff that we don't publicly post. A lot of people seem to really enjoy the Patreon page, and you will too. Packages start out at just $5. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time.